Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the NFL Showdown picks for tonight. We have a matchup between the Jets and the Colts. So, on paper, this game isn't going to be the most appealing one to watch, but I think it could be pretty fun for fantasy. There's some injuries on both sides that will make some value plays just kind of pop today. So, hopefully, they end up coming through for us tonight. If you guys enjoy the videos, appreciate it with the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out some more info in the description if you want to check out Twitter, the website, Prize Picks, get some free money there if you make your first deposit. It's all in the description of the video. So, there's still no Zach Wilson, who's out for the second week. So, you're going to see the legend of Mike White start once again. Led his team to a crazy comeback in the fourth quarter against the Bengals, where he threw for north of 400 yards, completed 82% of passes. Gets a matchup against the Colts defense, which has been middle of the pack this year. They did kind of get burned last week by the Titans offense. But overall, I still expect the Jets to be able to move the football a little bit. And I think they needed some sort of spark, and Mike White might have been exactly what they needed, a little bit of a spark, some sort of Cinderella story that will, even though it might not change like how the outlook of the season goes, it's just going to give them a little bit more confidence, I think, keep some more games close, and ultimately still end up in the top 5 of the draft for next year. Jonathan Taylor is 11-6. He's fine. He's expensive. He's 17-4 in the captain spot. It's a little bit tough for me to pay that much for a guy in the captain spot. I think if I wanted to play him, I'd probably try to utilize him in the flex just because you're using so much of your salary for a non-quarterback or wide receiver. So you're going to need hopefully multiple touchdowns out of Taylor if he is going to be optimal at that price tag, or he's just going to have to catch a couple of passes and take one to the house there. Carson Wentz is 16-2 in the captain spot. He's been pretty steady most of the year. Normally, he doesn't go for north of 25. He's done that one time this year, which was 26. He's actually only top 21 one time, which was against the 49ers. But last few weeks, he's been playing a little bit better. He has multiple touchdown passes now in 5 straight weeks. Still not running the football, so you don't really expect much out of that. He has 1 rushing touchdown on the season. He's, for my captain play, I want a guy that can absolutely go nuts. And 16-2 is pretty expensive, so I'm going to go once again a little bit cheaper. If I wanted to play Carson Wentz, I'll utilize him in the flex spot. Michael Pittman Jr. is 15-3. 15 targets for him last week against the Titans. And I don't think that is going to change at all. Because not only are they still without Paris Campbell, who's on IR, but now there's no T.Y. Hilton this week. So you'll see a ton of snaps for Pittman. Lots of action for Michael Pittman and with targets from Carson Wentz. You'll have to see Zach Pascal. Maybe he finally starts to put up some decent games after he's done nothing since the first 2 weeks of the year where he had all 3 of his touchdowns. He's still getting targeted a decent amount, 8-6 the last couple, 5-5 there, but just hasn't been able to find the end zone. And then you'll see Ashton Dulin. He is $300 in the captain spot, $200 in the flex. 4 targets for him last week, didn't grab any of them, but now he's going to be their 3rd wide receiver. He played 35 of 80 snaps here. If we look at how much T.Y. Hilton played last week, we can kind of get an indication of how much we could expect of him to play this week. So let's take a look at the Colts wide receiving numbers for last week. Pascal played 94, Pittman played 96. Then you saw T.Y. Hilton still did play a decent amount, 35, and then you had Dulin play 36. So I expect maybe close to 60. They could run some more 2 tight end sets, but Dulin looks like a pretty good value play at $200. Guy that is going to be out there on the field running some routes. All it takes is a couple of grabs, or it takes 1 lucky touchdown catch or something like that, and he'd probably end up being optimal. So if you wanted to pay up for a captain, you're going to be looking to utilize a value play like Dulin Smith. And then on the Jets side here, you can look at the tight ends from the Colts. They're both fine. One, Jack Doyle got into the end zone last week, but Mo Alley-Cox still gives you more touchdown upside. And the way Titans have been crushing on these showdown slates, I wouldn't be surprised if a double Colts tight end stack ends up taking down all the money. But on the Jets side here, I do like Mike White a lot. He's cheaper than Carson Wentz. Probably has more upside because more likelihood that they're going to be trailing in this game, throwing the football a lot more, whereas Carson Wentz might just be handing the ball off. Or they probably hope to just have Carson Wentz hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor in the second half. I love Michael Carter. Last couple of weeks, they've been utilizing him a bunch. Not only getting the most carries on the team, but he's been 8 and 9 receptions the last couple of weeks. 14 and 9 targets. Mike White kept just dumping it off to him. So I think Carter looks great. So much upside for a captain play. And then even his teammate Ty Johnson is utilized a lot in 3rd down situations. He has 13 targets the last couple of weeks. He's affordable, and he gives you big-time upside as well. Then looking at the Jets wide receiving core, they're going to be without Corey Davis, their alpha. So you'll see a lot more work for Denzel Mims, who led the team in snaps last week with 70. Wasn't able to capitalize on that, but you'll see Mims, Keelan Cole, Jamison Crowder, and most of the 3 wide receiver sets. Then you'll get some snaps for Berrios. Elijah Moore, who did play well, maybe he gets some more work this week, and then Smith at the end. But I think Crowder's probably my favorite wide receiver to target, just because he's so consistent. He always knows how to just get open and get his targets when he's healthy. And they're going to be throwing a lot in this game, I would expect. So Crowder is my favorite overall play, but I think for value, it would have to be Keelan Cole at just $2,400. He's 36 in captain, gives you big time upside there. 5 targets for him, 3 grabs for just 25 yards, but he does give you some big play upside. And they are going to be without their number 1 wide receiver, so there's more work for these other guys to go around. And then Elijah Moore didn't play a ton of snaps. He's 93 in the captain. He still was really solid out there, 6 grabs on 60 for 67 yards. He played a lot better than Mims, but I still think they would like to get Mims a lot of work. He's 3K. If you wanted to play him over Keelan Cole, you could. But I think Keelan Cole and Denzel Mims are pretty much similar. You could take a little bit of savings with Keelan Cole. And then the tight ends don't really get that much work on the Jets here. Croft got into the end zone last week, but just 2 targets for him. You're going to need him to get into the end zone for him to really pay off his salary. So I'm really looking at the running backs, and I like the wide receivers from the Jets a lot. So let's look at some lineup builds. We'll do one with Michael Carter at captain. Get Mike White in there. Michael Pittman, just going to get a ton of snaps and a ton of targets. If you want to go with Zach Pascal, you could do that as well. Now you have 50-50. So you could look to, like, the kickers, I think, are fine in this one as well. Like, usually I don't force kickers in. They're kind of expensive, 44 for Bagley, especially when you have the wide receivers a lot cheaper. So I probably won't try to force the kickers into this one. But if you go Keelan Cole, you can get up to Crowder. This is like a Jet stack if you think the Jets will keep it close, or if you think that the Jets could end up winning the game, which we've seen crazy things happen this year, so I would not be surprised with the way how the Colts season has gone. Losing to the Jets would be like a perfect storyline for them. But Carter, Michael White, you get those 2 paired, and then you even get Keelan Cole and Crowder. Then you get Pittman and Pascal on the other side, who will get most of the work in the receiving game. That's definitely one sort of build I like. To pay off all the way up for a captain here, like a Michael Pittman, maybe you want to put in Doolin, who's $200, going to be the 3rd wide receiver. Then you can go with, like, Michael Carter here, 86. You can try to double stack the Jets running backs if you wanted to. They're going to get a lot of work still without Tevin Coleman. Try to get to Michael White here. If I get to Crowder, and then miss out on some of the other pieces. Let's see if you wanted to get to Carson Wentz, 53. You can plug in Mo Alley Cox, or if you wanted to get to Jonathan Taylor all the way up, I now have $4,500 left. This is where you could go with the kicker, or you could go with like Keelan Cole, save some money on the table, or you might even be able to flip-flop Pittman and Jonathan Taylor if you wanted to do one with Taylor at captain, and then you could upgrade up to actually Mims is only $2,000, so he's cheaper than Keelan Cole. Looking at the captain spot, so Mims also a good value play at $2K, getting a ton of work or a ton of snaps. Maybe won't get a ton of targets, but still gonna get a lot of snaps there. Maybe you could upgrade from Doolin to Denzel Mims, go Keelan Cole, and then you have $9,800 left. Plug in Crowder, and then you can kind of flip-flop. Take out Taylor from your captain spot. Put in, like, go back to Pittman here. Put in Mike White. And $4,100 left. Upgrade from Crowder to, like, Taylor. So that was a lot of flip-flopping. But end up with Pittman and Taylor with 4 Jets once again. The Jets are just really cheap, so I'll be able to get to a lot of them. And then they haven't been getting a lot of work for Hines. That could change. It's just a showdown slate. He's going to get some targets there, but he hasn't been, after the first couple of weeks, he hasn't really been that involved in the game plans. But basically, on the showdown slate, there's a lot of value plays. Sub $3,000, you're looking at Keelan Cole, Denzel Mims, And I'll be looking at Doolin from the Colts side. And then for the spend-ups, I like Pittman a lot. Both quarterbacks in play. I kind of like Mike White a little bit more, just with, I think they'll be throwing a lot more. Carter is probably one of my favorite plays overall, just with all the work he gets on the ground and is going to be getting a ton of targets. I like Crowder as well, just a safe receiver. Potential to get you 10 targets, 10 receptions. Crazy efficiency for Crowder. Elijah Moore is a good play, but he's a lot more expensive than like Keelan Cole and then Denzel Mims, so I'm not going to be looking to get to him on this one. But overall, plugging in just like the core pieces, I don't mind going with a running back at captain who will catch a bunch of passes, just really safe here. Pittman, going to be tough to ignore just with how thin the Colts are in the receiving game. And then I want to get to Mike White here. And then I can get to another like Jets receiver who's really affordable that will run a lot of routes tonight. Denzel Mims and Keelan Cole, both similar. I'll decide with Keelan Cole. I was on him earlier. I don't want to pass up on him and have him, take a long one to the end zone. But yeah, I think the Jets look appealing just because they're so cheap and they just have nothing to play for really. So they're just going to be going out there and having fun. And, they could put up some points tonight. I wouldn't be surprised. That's it for the DraftKings side. Let's go over to FanDuel. So FanDuel has Jonathan Taylor cheaper than Carson Wentz, which is, I'll take advantage of that. Jonathan Taylor has outscored Carson Wentz most times this year, especially recently, where he's getting into the end zone finally after wasn't finding the pay dirt early on in the season much. But White is only 14,000, Pittman is 13,500, so those would be great options here. Carter is 13K. I love Crowder. Crowder is 11K. Michael Carter is 13K. I like both of those guys. If it's sub $10,000, you have Pascal at only 8,000. Ty Johnson going to get a good amount of targets out of the backfield. He looks good. And then all the way, you have like Keelan Cole, Denzel Mims as your very cheap receivers to target. Doolin is 6K if you want it, or it might even be cheaper than that. He's 5K if you want it to be super sneaky. But on FanDuel, you usually don't have to go crazy with a cheap value play. Although I think Doolin does give you some upside if he's going to be their third wide receiver, which he is going to be without T.Y. Hilton and still without Paris Campbell, who I think was done for the year. But looking at some potential builds here, could play. We'll just see what we end up with if we continue to go with Carter at MVP. Pair him with his quarterback, Mike White. Try to get to Pittman, who's 13.5. Just really, really affordable for Pittman. And then we'll be able to pay up for another guy like Taylor. Actually, won't be able to pay up for Taylor. We could look to go to like Crowder here at 11,000. And now we have 85 to get to Zach Pascal at 8K. Hope that Pascal Pittman do most of the damage there. And then you have the three Jets guys that I do like a lot, Carter, White, and Crowder. So you don't have Carson Wentz, you don't have Jonathan Taylor, which isn't ideal, but it's a showdown slate. You're looking to be different. You could definitely try to get to those guys if you wanted to and go down from Pascal to like some guys in the 6K range here, or go down from like Crowder if you wanted to go to like Keelan Cole. Then you could upgrade from Pascal, $12,500 left. You can try to get here, and then you can go with out Mike White, somebody at 10.5. There's so many different things you could do, but personally, I just like going a little bit more balanced here. And I feel confident that Carter will put up a solid score. Mike White is 14K. He's going to be my preferred option compared to 16.5 for Carson Wentz. If I don't want to get two quarterbacks in there, I don't have to force it. And I like Keelan Cole, but I think like Pascal is for 1,000 more. Going to get a lot of work just because they don't have, it's just him and Pittman basically, and then Doolin wasn't done much this year. But I think Carson Wentz will be locked in on Pascal and Pittman for the entire game. And then you get Crowder, who's going to get a lot of work and gets a lot of targets just with the nature and the slot receiving role that he plays. So that's something to look at. But on FanDuel, Carter, Mike White, Pittman would be the three core pieces. And then if I wanted to try to force in like Taylor or Wentz, I could. But I think a lot of people will do that, so I can try to be different there. But that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Have the NBA video out pretty much right after this one. So check that out if you're going to be playing NBA tonight. Otherwise, have a great night. I'll see you all next time.